Hello everybody, I thought I'd just do a quick video to explain some of the ideas around the classes or divisions, what are you going to call them, inside the SPARC 22 rimfire series here in the North Island of New Zealand. Rifleman's pretty simple, it's open class. Essentially in the rest of the world, right, so you have race gun type voodoos or tricked out 22s, 1022s rather. That's pretty straightforward, so we'll get to a video about that, but at the moment, hunter class. So where we differ from the rest of the world is we have a class that has shorter distances, bigger targets, and the rifles are a little bit more limited. So now none of the examples I have here at home are particularly limited in regards to what they are and features they have and the like. So we'll talk about a few of them, and we'll talk about briefly what hunter class is. So this is a pretty low-end 22 nowadays if you were to buy one. So this is one of the Webley & Scott Exoset 22s. It's got sort of a fake carbon fibre barrel. It's just a sleeve that slides over to look really cool. Bolt action, comes with 10-shot mags, etc, etc. I've got an older Vortex optic on this. So you can have whatever scope you want essentially in hunter class. But what we will do is limit you to 10 times magnification during the match at a maximum. So you can adjust up and down, but 10 times maximum during stages. And then your parallax is to be left alone once in the stage. So you can play it beforehand, after, etc. But you set a common parallax for the stage and that's it. And some people might ask why, but what this does is if you turn up with a 3 to 9, this is a Leupold VX1, they don't actually make these anymore. If you have this scope with a little BDC reticle, you can still compete against this scope with a bit more feature rich. One thing I forgot to mention is we also don't allow dialing inside of hunter class. So you stay at your 25 or your 50 meter zero for the day. So again, that makes it viable against these older style of hunting scopes, which are very common on your basic hunting 22s. So that's how scopes work. And then as for rifles, we limit no target barrels, varmint barrels, and that kind of thing. And we limit to, don't quote me, but I think it's 7 or 8 pounds in regards to overall weight of the rifle. So again, what that does is it stops. If someone's got a bit more spare money, they can put a bunch of money into a voodoo or a really high-end CZ, and then the average Joe, he's turning up with his bunny hunting gun. So it's intentionally handicapped a little bit to make it more accessible to more people. Now, we do have rifleman class, which is where the voodoos and the tricked out guns are in their element. But as for hunter class, that's what it is. Now, I thought I'd just show you a couple of examples. Again, I would put these on the higher end of hunter class personally. It's just what I have here to show you. So this is our loaner rifle supplied to us by Bred in New Zealand. So it's a Tikka T1X UPR. So this is sort of starting to encroach on nearly heading into rifleman class. A bit more of an ergonomic stock, but it's okay. Hunter weight barrel. Basic, well, obviously there's no restriction on suppressors or anything. And then same thing, little Bushnell's Burris rather scope, 3 to 15 to 50, but only able to be used on maximum of 10 power during the day. Very good option, these little Tikkas, accurate, and 10 round mags. You can get several mags for not too much investment. So that's a really good option, the little Tikkas. Now, what you'll see is some people have a nice scope, right? So this is, funnily enough, this is my wife's rifle. It's a base model CZ457, and they're really sort of cheap stock, plastic, quite flexible, not as stiff as you'd like for a target rifle for sure, but it does have an element Titan on it. So the scope is now very feature rich. So again, it's in comp, it's limited to 10 power, cannot dial during the day, and so you have to use the reticle to do your shooting. So pretty straightforward, basic CZ, just with a slightly nicer scope, right? Now, there's nothing to say your JW15, one of your Norenkos, an old Savage 22, a new Savage 22, 1022s. They're all perfectly fine in hunter class, perfectly capable. You're very rarely going to be shooting the minute, tiny targets you'll see in PRS 22 and stuff. Hunter class is a bit more practical, and think of it like you're shooting rabbits. Again, you're not necessarily shooting rabbit steel targets, but it's a bit more realistic for the new competitor or the hunter getting into it. So yeah, pretty straightforward. And as I showed earlier, like this is, again, you pick these Webley Exosets up for sometimes like $300-400 on the second-hand market, so that's New Zealand dollars. And you could, grab one of those, one of these basic loopholed VX1s or VX Freedom, whatever, and you can still be competitive as long as you sort of understand how your bullet drops from 50 out to 100 meters. But again, we can help with sorting that out. So yeah, in hunter class, don't panic if your rifle is not a target gun or not high end or not worth $1 million, because it doesn't really matter, right? So a few other items that I thought I'd just quickly cover off was, obviously we talked about scopes. Again, to be honest, I don't have many plain scopes anymore. I've got a lot of precision high-end scopes. Bipods. You don't have to have a bipod. You can shoot off your backpack if that's what you have, or if that's how you hunt, or whatever. Backpack with a jacket stuffed in it. That'll be perfectly adequate, right? But same thing. We don't really limit bipods, but I would say just your basic Harris or Harris knockoff clones. They'll be perfectly fine. So this is the 6 to 9 inch model, and this is the, I think it's slightly longer than 6 in it, but it goes up to about 12-13 inches fully extended. I prefer the slightly longer model, bigger legs, stuff like that. So, but it's up to you, personal preference. We are shooting in field environments a lot of times, so the terrain is up or down or uneven. So having a little bit more leg is not necessarily a bad thing. But again, use what you've got. Don't think you have to go and buy a new bipod just for the competition. If you've got a basic old one that works half okay, run it. It's hunter class. Ammunition, we get a lot of questions about what ammo should I run, what do I need to run. Straight off the bat, the most popular thing in rifleman and hunter class at the moment is the Norma TAC 22. It's great ammo. It's available in large quantities in New Zealand at the moment. So that would be my go-to as an all-around accurate 22 cartridge that's very consistent. Terrible for shooting small game, I'll say that, like really bad. But as for shooting bits of steel, perfectly fine. And then the old faithfuls is the CCIs, right? So we've got CCI subsonic and CCI standard. So both of these, perfect, do the job just fine. I'd personally go with the standard velocity, a little bit faster, but that's just me. But if this is what you run in your possum gun, it's going to be perfect. So use that. And then another restriction on hunter class is bags. So if you have some sort of following of precision style shooting competitions, you'll notice there's a lot of high-end game type bags for shooting off obstacles or such nowadays. In hunter class, again, to keep it simple, we have a few rules around bags. So if you turn up with any of these bags, I'm not going to have an issue with it. So this is essentially, this fits in the rules nicely. This is a little one made by Jeff at the Gun Rack and Sabre Tactical, a bit of a collaboration they did. The grapefruit, pretty affordable. I think they're around, I don't know how much they cost, but they're not going to break the bank. A little bit grippy, not heavy, and you know, pack it in your bag nice and easy. You can stick it on top of a barricade or a stick or whatever we're shooting off just fine. And then you can also use it for a rear bag if you are shooting prone. You'll see these taller versions from Weebad, and I think Tab Gear do a very similar one. Mine the Fluff. Again, this is fine. What we say is like 6x6 or something inches, but this is slightly long, but it's thinner, so I'm not going to have an issue with this. It's not a gamer bag. Same thing, can sit on a prop and use rear bag, but not ideal compared to some of the new bags, but for hunter class, perfectly fine. This here is starting to push the limits on size, but I wouldn't have an issue if you were using this in hunter class. I don't think it gives you a particular advantage. If it's what you've got, it's what you've got, right? So if you're looking for bags and you don't want to just make one, because you're perfectly fine just to turn it with a bag full of rice, like a sock or something, go old school. Or I seen one guy with a rubbish bag full of old wool off an old sheep once. So, but there's some really good options from Sabre Tactical here in New Zealand, the Gun Rack, Guns NZ. They all sell a myriad of different bags. So have a look, and you can always ask questions, because again, you might buy a bag that's a bit advanced for hunter class. And again, if the bag you have is way too advanced, we're not going to stop you from competing. If you turn up with gear that it's your first time you turn up with gear that's super high end and a bit fancy for hunter class, we'll still let you compete. We're just not going to let you win the event, essentially, because you're breaking those rifle rules. And we can explain that more to you, but pushing you straight into the rifleman class can also be a bit nasty, because it's a significant step up in difficulty and distance and half 100 things. It's a lot harder. So I hope that helps. So, like as I said, if you've got an old Savage Mark II or a Ruger 1022 with a 3-9 scope or a 2-7, you can give it a go. Hunter class goes out, it's from 10 meters to 100 meters. Times are longer and stuff like that. So essentially you can do it if you've got a 22 set up with a scope. Iron sights, they're not going to work that well. You're still shooting to a little bit of distance, and it's going to be hard. So again, if you want to give it a go and you're unsure about your rifle, feel free to get in contact with myself, or Simon at Gillis Practical Rifle Events, or Jeff at the Gun Rack, or just contact the SPARC page, and we can talk you through certain things. And again, if you want to come and you have no idea about drop, about where your bullet goes past 50 meters, as in how much to hold over, we can help with stuff like that. We can give you a coach. We can do a bunch of stuff. So I hope that helps some people when there are questions around what guns to use. And yeah, I will do a video on a few other similar topics around rifleman class and stuff like that. All right.